Hey, good morning from sunny Kansas City. Welcome to Sports Beat Live, our weekly chat session about the Royals with the folks in the media who know them best, and nobody knows them better than beat writer Lynn Worthy. He's here today. Lynn just looks like you and I today, and we'll get this. We'll power through. We'll get this done, and we'll be joined by Vahe and Sam next week.
All the important people are here.
They are, absolutely. Hey, so we're presented by the University of Kansas Health System. You'll hear from them later in the show. But I thought we'd do something today that I don't think, if we've done it, I can't remember in previous shows. But I just want to talk about last night's game for a moment, just to get things started. Interesting game for the Royals. 6-5 loss to the Cleveland Guardians at Kauffman Stadium in 10 innings. Royals wasted a good comeback in this game. But there are a few things about it that intrigue me, and it's going to lead to a couple of topics we're going to talk later about in the show. But it seems to me that when Brady Singer takes the mound for the Royals, I'm thinking, well, it's a good chance they'll win this game, because he's done nothing but win games for the Royals over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 starts that the Royals have won, even though he didn't get the win in all of them. The Royals just seem to rise to the occasion when Brady Singer starts.
Yeah, he's turned into a bit of a stopper for them. The guy that they had a couple of times where they had back-to-back losses or the beginnings of a streak, and then they got to Singer's day to throw, and that was the day that they sort of stopped it from turning into, like last year they had a couple of streaks and won 11 games, and we know how some of those stretches last year just seemed to drag on. But this year, of late, particularly, Brady Singer has been the one to stop that. It's been, it hasn't been, Brad Keller before they moved him into the rotation. It hadn't been Zach Grinke. I mentioned those guys just because those are the more veteran guys, the guys who you would assume would be in that role. It's been Singer, who we forget sometimes wasn't in the rotation coming out of spring training, has been the guy that's been that mainstay, that go-to to sort of get the Royals back on track or back into the win column.
Right, and so he gives up a couple of early runs, and the Royals fall behind 2-0, and then Drew Waters steps to the plate and with a runner on first, and this is what happens with Drew Waters. No sound, but that was Drew Waters going deep, hitting the ball into the Royals bullpen, measured at 400 feet. I don't know what the exit velo is. I don't have that. I'm not used to seeing exit velo on my home runs. But what was it?
I think it was, if I remember correctly, I think it was 105 miles an hour. Like I want to say it was like 105.2. I'm not sure why that number sticks in my head, but I'm pretty sure that I remember looking that up last night.
So, first major league home run, ties the game at 2, and I thought, okay, this is what the Royals do when Brady Singer pitches. They find a way to get it done, but it just didn't happen. The Indians came back and scored a couple of runs in their top half of the inning and went on to win the game. But so Drew Waters gets the home run, and that's gonna mean a cool extra $100 for Drew. Tell us that story.
Yeah, so after the game, asked Drew about, the media group asked him about, obviously one of the first questions is, well, what went through your mind when you realized you got your first homer? And he just gets this grin and goes, well, I'm thinking I got that $100 from Zach Grinke. And we're like, what now? I mean, and it wasn't like it was a running thing that was known or anything like that. It was just something that I guess occurred between him and Zach, where Zach just sort of said to him, he said it was maybe the last homestand or maybe the one before that. It must have been the last homestand because Drew's only been up for about 13 games now. Where Zach said, yeah, I don't think you're going to hit a home run for the rest of the season. And they put $100 on it. And so when Drew hit that home run, his first in the big leagues, afterwards he said he wanted that home run ball, even more so than his first hit ball. He wanted the home run ball, and he wanted the $100 from Zach Greinke. And it was sort of funny, because $100 Yeah, $100 is not changing anything for Drew Waters, but just the fact that he won it off of Grinke, who said he wouldn't hit the home run, who I think was the part that he was really happy about, was that he got to have something over the guy who's been in the majors for 19 seasons now and won a Cy Young and done all these things and said he couldn't do something, and so he did it.
When I read your story about that and heard Drew Waters speak to it, I just thought that's Zach Grinke being just a pro, right? Challenging the rookie right off the right. I'm sure it was the first day or so he was in the clubhouse and gave Drew Waters something to think about, right?
Yeah, we were talking about it last night after the game in the press box, and I was like, I'm not sure if it's one of those things where we want to give Zach too much credit, where it was like, this was the mastermind game motivator thing, or if it was just he looked at the guy who was 6'2", 185 and said, you ain't going to get one out of this ballpark. You know what I mean? Because I could believe either one. I mean, you could probably make a case either way that this was Zach, the old vet, seeing something in the kid and saying, give him a little motivation, or it was yeah, kid, you just ain't got you ain't got enough juice to get it out of this ballpark, So either way, Drew Waters will gladly take that hundo and his home run ball and be smiling ear to ear about it.
Hey, he came off a terrific pitcher, McKenzie, for Cleveland. He's very good, but Waters had a nice at bat the previous plate appearance, and with the double off a similar pitch that from McKenzie. So looked like Waters had him measured and finished the job in that plate appearance. I'm trying to wean myself off of at bats, plate appearance. So a couple things else about it before we put the game away. I was just it spoke to the Royals bullpen a little bit too. That it's you got to. This is what the Royals are now, bullpen wise. They're not going to match Cleveland's bullpen, and there are just some as the Royals play out the string here, the final 3 weeks of the regular season or so, of which they're going to play not 3 weeks, about a month really, and they're going to play Cleveland 144 more times I think in this last month, but it's going to. Cleveland also in a pennant race, in a pennant chase, so obviously going to be motivated in a way that the Royals, aren't. Not to say the Royals aren't motivated. They got so many rookies in the lineup, all looking to finish strong. But anyway, I guess a roundabout way of saying Cleveland's a pretty good team. Don't just because they don't have one of the best records in the American League, they are, I believe, still leading the division, and Royals have a kind of a tough chore for the rest of the way, don't they? Coming down the stretch. Yeah,
and I mean, it should be pointed out, like you mentioned, the bullpen. So Carlos Hernandez gave up the 2 runs in the top of the 10th inning that ended up deciding the game. But up until that point, when so Singer made it through 6, the next, the guys that came in after that shut it down. I mean, I think it was Colin Snyder, Anthony Misevich, and Scott Barlow came in and locked it up. And then Hernandez, you get that 10th inning with the automatic runner, and then they decided to walk Jose Ramirez, who's just seemed to kill them in big spots, for the last however many years. And he got the first out, and then he gave up this double that just sort of kept carrying off until it smacked off the wall in center field. And held it at those 2 runs. But I mean, it's and we talked to Carlos and to Matheny after the game about that pitch, and it's like it was a breaking ball below the zone, first pitch that this guy just went out and got. So it's one of those ones where it's I guess you sort of tip the cap, but the bullpen has been good of late. I mean, they were lights out, I think, at the end of that last series in Detroit. Had 3 strong innings there at the end of the game, but depth. I mean, I think I believe Dylan Coleman wasn't available yesterday, and he'd been pitching really well lately, but he's also pitched a lot in the last couple of days. So they're still trying to figure out some things about that bullpen. Like, it's not going to be the exact bullpen that they go into next season with, but there's some different pieces there that they're trying to find out about, whether it's, Hernandez in that role or Brad Keller in that role. Coleman starting to look like he could be a more of a counted on guy. Remember, we got you're talking about bullpen that earlier in the season relied on some guys who aren't really available right now, whether that's Josh Tomlin on the IL or Taylor Clark on the IL. So they're the bullpen, is always a year-to-year proposition putting together a bullpen, but they feel like they've got some pieces there. They're just trying to get a look at some guys right now and see how they might fit in those roles going forward.
Yeah, Jake Brentz is another one from injured earlier this season. So, all right, let's do this. A couple other topics we need to get to, including Bobby Witt's American League Rookie of the Year chances and what's coming, who's coming available next, basically from the world of injury. But let's first take a break and hear from the University of Kansas Health System.
March 4th, 2015, I got out of the shower and felt a lump in my left breast.
We were able to quickly uncover that she had 2 subtypes of breast cancer, each of them requiring separate and unique treatment plans. This is why you come to the University of Kansas Cancer Center.
It is critical to be treated by a team of experts in that specific cancer type. If you don't start with us, I think you'll have more questions than answers.
Why would you go anywhere else?
Back with Lynn Worthy on Sports Beat Live. We're talking Royals baseball. And Lynn, Royals are going to get some players back pretty soon, aren't they?
Yeah. The aforementioned Zach Grinke is set to make his return from the IL on Wednesday, the series finale against Cleveland. I think actually today is the day that he's eligible to come off the IL. The first day he's eligible to come off the IL. He'd been on the shelf with, I think they just call it right forearm tightness. He'd had a flexor strain earlier in the season that he had an IL stint for. He came out of his last start in Tampa with just feeling a little bit of tightness in that forearm after about 4 innings and been working through that. He had the IL stint, and he looks like he's going to be able to come back tomorrow, and they penciled him as the starter. Haven't made that roster move yet, but I expect they'll probably wait till tomorrow before the game to do that. And then on rehab assignment, Vinny Pasquantino, who's actually eligible, basically any day now to come off the IL. He's been eligible. They sent him on the rehab assignment with AAA Omaha. And I believe that the plan, it sounded like he was at least probably still going to be there tonight playing with AAA Omaha, but he could be back, in any day now. And, of course, Edward Olivares is also on the rehab assignment. He was on the 60-day IL, so I think he still has more than a week before he can return. I want to say that, and I'm not looking at it, I want to say it's like the 17th maybe is when he's eligible to come off of the IL, so you won't see him before then. He'll still keep doing his rehab assignment, but he's also down there with AAA Omaha, getting back into the swing of things. He's had that was the second quad injury that he had this season. And so he's, when he's been healthy, he's been arguably one of their best hitters. He just has been in and out as far as injuries this season. And it was a shoulder with Vinny. I just realized I didn't mention that, but it was a shoulder issue that Vinny's been dealing with. And again, he's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he's back even before this homestand's done.
Prado's been getting just about every inning at first base then, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been swinging it well. He was part of over the weekend. They had the day where they made some Major League history with 4 rookies homering in the same game, and he also had I think during the road trip he had maybe 3 home runs. I'm trying to remember what the number was, but he's been
two in a game.
Yeah. So he's actually, so it might have been, I don't remember, was it 3 or 4? Starting to run together because he had Bobby obviously had his home run. We're going to talk about, but yeah, he's been swinging it well. It seems like he's settled in a little bit. I know he had talked during the last homestand about making some adjustments. So he's seems like better at bats, even hitting well off of some tough lefties too. So it'll be interesting. We've talked about it. It seems like for the last couple of months, but as guys start to come back, juggling who's going to play. I mean, even right now, juggling who's going to play, whether it's Nate Eaton the other day on the road had a 4-hit game and then wasn't in the starting lineup either of the 2 games since then. Obviously, you got a guy like Bobby who's, who you can play at short and third, but then if Nicky's in the lineup and you want to put him at short, or if he's in the lineup and you're trying to put Bobby at short and Nicky's playing second, Michael Massey is maybe the odd man out, and he's been looking strong at the plate here, in his first taste of the majors. So there's a lot of moving parts, and they're going to continue to be moving parts as they bring more guys up.
Indeed. Which, should keep people interested in this team through the rest of the season. Just, it's not, I said earlier, I used the term playing out the string, and that's technically what they're doing. They're not in the playoff chase. But unlike previous, teams that were headed for last or fourth and maybe barreling toward 100 losses, this one we look at with clarity on the future when it comes to more than a handful of players. You see future Royals on this, in the lineup, out in the field, and on the mound, and that's what to me keeps this season interesting. So, and of course, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminds me too. You mentioned past teams sort of barreling towards 100 losses. In 2019, the last year with Ned Yost as the manager, I remember him talking about just sort of looking forward. And at this point, he knew he'd already announced he was retiring. And he was just talking about the roster and talking about some of the young guys coming. And now this is going back to 19, but I just remember him saying, he says, it's going to start to get tough. It's going to start to get tight as far as playing time and opportunities. Like it's gonna start to get to be, a battle for chances. Whereas, back in 19, they were sort of able to run guys out there, every day and just sort of let them play and, just sort of let what happens because they need to get looks at those guys, and didn't, wasn't anybody who was necessarily pushing certain guys at that time. And he was already looking ahead, saying, it's gonna change. It's going to start to get tough for some of these guys, and I think we're starting to really see that now. You've maybe seen little bits of it the last couple of years, but now with a lot of the young guys and the homegrown guys all in, a limited amount of spots, I think we're really starting to see that.
Okay, and of course, Bobby Witt Jr. is one that is foremost in our minds. Future star, current star, really, having a terrific rookie season. But when it comes to American League Rookie of the Year, there is at least one other player. Well, there's obviously one other player that has matched or exceeded Bobby Witt Jr. in several categories that would be considered when people vote for AL Rookie of the Year. And of course, we're talking about Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners. So, Lynn, just tell us first how Rookie of the Year in the American and the National Leagues are determined.
So that is actually voted on by the Baseball Writers Association of America. It's usually, I believe, it's 2 votes per each city. So American League city. So there'll be 2 voters from Kansas City, as well as 2 voters from each one of the American League cities will get a vote. It usually rotates. I know I don't have an AL Rookie of the Year vote this year, so don't blame me. But and I'm not sure who does have it either. But I just know that that's usually how it works. I think I voted for it, I want to say a couple years ago. It might have been 19. I'm pretty sure it was the year that Alvarez from Houston won it, and I'm pretty sure it was a unanimous one. So, again, can't blame me on that one. Yeah, so it's usually a couple of voters. It's going to be people who've seen, all the American League teams. National League doesn't vote on American League. American League doesn't vote on National League for those awards. So it's going to be the writers voting. It was funny just thinking about it, because I want to say, just thinking of Houston earlier this season when they were in, it might have been April or May or something like that. It was early in the year. At that point in time, Jeremy Pena, their shortstop, looked like he was the leading guy, and looked like, that Bobby might actually be running, at least at that point, behind him and Julio Rodriguez. And Pena has sort of dropped off at this point, not way off, but just he's dropped below those guys, which, for a young kid making his break into the big leagues isn't, unheard of. It's sort of, almost more of the norm compared to what you see out of Julio and Bobby. These guys who just keep going. And I mean, As much as, Bobby's been outstanding, played, shortstop and third base. I think as of today, he's leading all major league rookies in, I want to say, RBIs. I had it up here at one point. I know it's RBIs, stolen bases. He's 3 behind Rodriguez for home runs. I believe he might be tied for doubles now with Michael Harris in the National League. As far as this is just all rookies all together now. I think they're tied for second. It's Adley Rushman actually leads in all of the major league rookies in doubles right now. But I mean, Bobby and Julio Rodriguez seem to be running neck and neck on most of these categories. I mean, I'm just, if there's ones, the big ones that you probably think of, whether it's, old school batting average, home runs, RBIs, it's Rodriguez, Witt seem to be one and two, and stolen bases, and it just sort of flip-flops. So Rodriguez has 23 homers, Witt 20. Rodriguez 67 RBIs, Witt's got 70. 26 stolen bases for Witt, Rodriguez got 24. I think the thing that probably puts Julio over the top, he is leading a little bit in each one of the slash line. He's batting, not quite 30 points higher in batting average, but close to that, more like 40 on base percentage and like 30 on slugging percentage. And then Rodriguez has gotten the national attention because he was an all-star. His team's in a playoff chase, and he's a main reason for them having some of the success that they're having. So I think that's, why he's probably more the likely front runner, but Witt should be getting attention for some of the things that he's doing.
Well, I think at this point, Bobby Witt would have to have a, incredible final few weeks of the season statistically to change minds, because I agree with you that Julio Rodriguez is the favorite now, but I think Bobby Witt is second, and I would be disappointed if he wasn't second in the voting for this. You mentioned you're rattling off some of the numbers there, and of course, for Bobby Witt to be a 2020 guy, it just so happens in the same year, Bobby Witt became the fifth first-year player in Major League history to be a 2020 guy, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases, but the second this season, right? Because Julio Rodriguez got there first, and so you think you reach a statistical milestone like that, and you think that would be automatic Rookie of the Year. Well, of the 3 previous players that recorded 2020s in their first season, only one of them went on to win Rookie of the Year. That was, I had to write it down, Marty Cordova for the Twins in 1995. The other 2, interestingly enough, Ellis Burks for the Red Sox in 87. That was the year Mark McGwire was Rookie of the Year after when he hit his 49 home runs. Kevin Seitzer of the Royals actually was second in the voting that year. And in 1977, Mitchell Page for the Oakland A's, a 2020 guy, finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting to Eddie Murray, future Hall of Famer Eddie Murray. So 2020 is a heck of a season, doesn't guarantee Rookie of the Year. But in this case, I think, unless Julio Rodriguez suffers a season-ending injury or something, I certainly don't wish that on him or anybody really, then it's going to be Julio Rodriguez as he's certainly the front runner right now for Rookie of the Year, but doesn't diminish Bobby Witt's season at all. And even on a night like Monday, where I don't think he had a base hit, but he had a heck of a defensive play, that diving snare and the throw to first, which was the second day in a row he had an incredible defensive play. And this is a guy that doesn't have the great defensive numbers, but certainly knows how to turn in a highlight reel defensive play. And yesterday hustled on the air, going from second to third on an error, and ended up scoring on a sacrifice fly. And his hustle, got that run for the Royals. It made it 4-3. So he's just doing so many things well. I wish he could put a few more points on his batting average over the final few weeks of the season, but no, he's setting himself up for a great major league career.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things that I know I've pointed out before when everybody wanted to sort of rush him to the big leagues, but I also think we need to point it out now. And putting in context what he has done in his first season is that he had one full season of minor league baseball. He had that year that he got drafted and played less than 40 games at rookie ball. And then you had the pandemic year where he was in, big league spring training 2.0, and then at the alternate site. And then he had last year, and that's been his entire, professional baseball experience up until this year. And last year was a tremendous season. Last year was a 30-30 season in the minors. And I think was to remember what I think it was it was one short. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was one short of like a 30-30-30. I think it was like he had I think it was 30 home runs and 30 doubles, but I think he got a stolen base wiped away because of a game that got rescheduled or a game that got rained out before it got to the fifth inning. So he was, looking at a 30-30-30 season in his only full minor league season last year. And he wasn't doing that at, rookie league or low A. That was double A, triple A is where he put those numbers up. It was minor league baseball player of the year for Baseball America and USA Today. So, he had a tremendous season, but he had one season of professional baseball, starts opening day at third base as, MLB.com's anointed top prospect and former number 2 overall pick. And he's performed, I think, exceptionally well for, in that context. And also just, in considering he's a rookie and 22 years old, playing every day in the big leagues.
And he drove in the winning run on that opening day as well with that double down the line. And just coming up, you mentioned he was one of the 4 rookies that hit home runs in Detroit on, I believe it was Saturday, the first time in Major League history that 4 rookies hit a home run for a team in the same game, and got his 2020, got the game-winning RBI on Sunday in the 3-2 win at Detroit to help the Royals win the series, and I believe he's second. He's with 24 game with the stat we used to call game-winning RBIs. I don't know if we call it that anymore. Go-ahead RBIs, whatever it is. He's number 2 in the majors in that department. So an outstanding. He may not be rookie of the year, but he is. I think he's lived up to a lot of expectations. And we've got a few more weeks to talk about him and the rest of this rookie class for the Kansas City Royals. But we're going to wrap it up today and thank the University of Kansas Health System for presenting this show. Thanks to Lynn Worthy for his insights on the Royals. Thanks to Monty Davis for producing today's show. And we are talking Royals every week with you until the season ends. Please continue to join us every Tuesday. Have a good day.